really all you need to ask yourself is how much time are you willing to fucking give up? How much time are you willing to give up of your life? I gave up I gave up a pretty good chunk of time. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm talking about two things over and over. I'm talking about accountability, but the other thing you'll hear me talk about is just procrastination. And there's a reason behind that those are so near and dear to my heart. I need you guys to understand. See, in the beginning phases of my life, I was a very high performer at a young age. 0 to 18 in my life looked like, exactly what you kind of would want your life to look like at that. It was like I won everything that I did. I had almost too many friends. You know, that was just what my life looked like. I stacked a lot of wins, and I got a lot of confidence from those wins, and then that compounded, and I worked really hard, and I just was immersed completely in all the things that I wanted to do, and I wasted no time. I was not doing parties. I wasn't doing just social stuff. I basically just did the things that I was invested in becoming good at, from when I woke up in the morning to when I went to bed. And my life was amazing. And when I went to college, what I realized was I was so used to winning. I was so used to winning that I hadn't really learned how to lose. I hadn't really learned how to lose. I wasn't as tough as I thought that I was. You know, I basically became this person that I was only good at life if everything was going my way. That's why you constantly hearing me now talk about adversity and how it's overcoming obstacles is like the best thing that you can learn, especially at a young age. If you're in your fucking 20s, you need to start learning how to take losses and how to take wins. Um, I got into college, and essentially what happens is exactly what I tell you guys. I stopped that behavior, right? So I had a structure, I had systems in place that got me the validation that I was looking for. They gained me confidence. And then when I went to college, I was like, I was finally free. I was finally adrift to make my own decisions. And what happened was I didn't stack up enough stuff. I didn't really have an aim and a direction. I kind of was just listless and lost. So I started to stack some losses. And then all of a sudden I lost direction. And what happens then is you start to lose confidence. It was the first time in my life that I had lost a little bit of confidence. I didn't understand what it was. I didn't enjoy the feeling, right? And those things led to these neurotic tendencies, like mild neuroses. Things like anxiety, like worry, and a little bit of loneliness and feel. So I understand on a very low level, I understand what that feels like, right? Does that make sense? I went from generating positivity off of my actions, my habits, validating myself off of being fully immersed in the things that I was supposed to pull off, basically what I call now a purpose. And then I went without that, right? So I have perspective. All of a sudden I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good at all. And that's why I'm always telling you guys that those emotional states that you guys are thinking are these permanent things, like, oh, this is just how I am. Those are how you're being. Because I didn't have those 1 year before. They didn't just happen like that. It wasn't neurochemistry that just kicked in. It was all philosophical. It was all how I was living. It was how I was treating myself. And then that's when I did exactly what you fuckers do, which is I turned to consumption of vices. Oh, well, these things make me feel good and you don't have to do shit. You just sit here. You just hang out. Oh, this is fun. I'll party with my friends. And I started doing exactly what the crowd was doing. It was the first time in my life that I started doing what the low level fucking mediocre crowd was doing, which was, oh, just like hang out, skip class, sleep in, don't exercise, drink alcohol. Then all of a sudden it was like, oh, drink alcohol, smoke weed. Then before I knew it, it was like, I'll do drugs with somebody if they had them. And I can tell you that throughout all of that, you can feel that the behavior is negative and you know that it's not in alignment. So what happens is you wake up the next day and you feel shame and guilt. You feel shame and guilt towards your actions, how you're treating yourself. And once that happened for a little while, I was kind of stuck in that cycle, right? It was like, yeah, well, I don't feel that great in the morning because I feel shame and guilt because it's not what I was supposed to do. And then instead of pulling it all together the next day, midday hits and you go, well, I'd rather just do that again. I'd rather just do escapism again. It takes a long time to start placing some good habits in place. So I'd rather just do these bad habits for a minute longer. And I started this video saying it's all about how much time you're willing to give up. That's why in the sobriety community they call it a rock bottom. Because a lot of people need to get really fucking far down before they make that decision to turn it around. But you don't have to. You don't have to. And I wish... Here's the thing that happened. I spent a lot of time going, this isn't how I want to live. I need to do these things. And the reason I talk about procrastination all the time is because I spent a lot of time in that middle section going, yeah, but I'm gonna get it all figured out and I'm gonna like fix these things someday. And I gotta tell you now in hindsight, I can't explain to you enough how much I wish that any of those days that I had that thought where I said, you know what, like, I'm going to turn it around one day. I can't tell you how valuable it would have been for me to say, no, today is the day. 5 years earlier, 4 years earlier, 3 years earlier, 7 years earlier. Fuck. There were times where I got it and it almost clicked and then I went back. That alone just devastates your self-confidence. Because think about how fucking childlike and just shitty that is. You know how mature it is to know the answer and then to go, I kind of want to fuck up a little bit longer. So pathetic. And I felt pathetic during those times where I made those decisions. Those were when I was at my lowest. But again, listen to what I'm saying about accountability. Those were all decisions. I made those. I confronted situations. I heard the internal voice of God say, yo, this is not where you want to be. This isn't who you want to be. This isn't how I would like you to treat yourself. This isn't honoring me. This isn't honoring your calling and a path. And instead I said, nah, I got this. I'm smart enough and this is fine. And I waited and I wasted time. And, you know, any moment you can turn your life around. You can decide I'm only going to dive into good habits immediately. You can make that choice instantly. And I need you guys to know that. It's not some plan. It's not some massive thing. It's legitimately as easy as like, no, I'm making a commitment. I'm going to turn my life around. And then it's just doing the steps that I always talk about. It's just mind, body, spirit, and then pushing those into alignment. Analyzing where you would like to go in life and going, these things don't suit me, these things do. I need to do more of these, I need to do less of these, and I need to do it over a long enough time horizon that these things go away completely and that I never miss these things. It's as simple as that. And that on the path to making that happen, you learn everything about yourself. You become dialed into something that's way bigger than you. You start becoming fucking beneficial and positive for people around you. You get confidence back. You understand how to feel good inside your own skin and like who you are. And then you end up learning how to validate yourself off doing the right things instead of trying to get somewhere. But just understand, I've said this a lot about procrastination. You can procrastinate forever. That's why that one's so dangerous. That smell, that elixir of like, yeah, but it's all good that I'm fucking up right now because I'm going to fix it at some point. You can keep saying that until you just decide that it's not at some point, that it's now. You know how long that can go? 15, 20 years? You know, I coach people now that have done that for 30 years. And it's for you to figure out, how much time are you willing to give up? What section of your life don't you give a fuck about? Man, I wish I had lived my 20s in a way that was just more positive. I spent so much time in that zone, kind of missing out on all the positive benefits that you can get at that time. The freedom to travel and do things. I didn't do any of that. I was just worried about this low level garbage. Get this girl, get this girl's number, go to this party, get home, skip school, smoke weed, do nothing, and hang out with people that's all they were into as well. And that made me think it was okay. I spent a lot of time being like, well, all these fucking lame ass fools do this shit. Instead of going, man, I don't belong here. I don't belong with these people. And I should be moving on. And I should be being positive. So don't wait. Make the decision today. Start small. Make an undying commitment, and then autocorrect when you get back off this shit, and just keep pushing forward and do continuous improvement. I'm gonna be better in this area. I'm gonna go further in this area. I'm gonna get more resources. I'm gonna get more coaching. I'm gonna pay for more things. I'm gonna end up being better at my job. I'm gonna be better for my people. Hit me up if you need anything. I'm telling you, I get that you're in a fog and a haze when you're in those sections, so you don't know and you don't understand, and you think this is just how life is, but I'm here to tell you that it's not. Life is dope as fuck when you run it in, and when you do the right things, and it's terrible when you don't. Hit me up if you need help with any of that shit.